Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health TV and Radio Show. I'm your host, Sara Banta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of three. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you're notified every week with my new podcasts on Mondays and Tuesdays. And if you haven't already, join my free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. It's not censored and it's free. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health, and you will be a part of a like-minded group to support you on your journey, in addition to truly taking control of your health. My goal, I cannot do it alone, is to reach everyone on earth with eyes to see and ears to hear my message of healing. So help me with that goal. Share this podcast with a few of your friends who may need my help. And this topic, I know you've discussed it with your friends, your metabolism. Why does it slow down? Is it just age? Is that what we're all supposed to have? Slower metabolisms as we age? Actually, no. My metabolism is faster now than when I was in my 20s. So how do we speed it up? So you may think it's just part of that every year, 2 pounds, the holidays come, you gain a couple, you think you're going to lose them, and then they stay on, right? The truth is you don't have to suffer from a slower metabolism as you age. And in fact, you can actually reverse the damage that's already been done. So what do we need to look at? Last week, I talked about reasons for unexplained weight gain, and some of it is we're gonna reiterate today because it's so important to understand. I can tell you that I mentioned last week that over the last couple of weeks, I've been nauseous and wasn't able to eat very much, and I had lost a little weight, and so now I'm trying to gain it back. And all that being said is that I did my liver flush and it cleared out the nausea and my metabolism shot up. And now as I'm increasing my caloric intake, I can feel my metabolism going up. You got to think about it. It's like a bank, right? If you've got more money in the bank and the bank knows that you're going to get more money, you're going to start spending more money. But if you just lost your job and you only have $20 in the bank, you're going to make that $20 last as long as you can. Think your body is the same way. It is super, super smart and it wants to survive. So the first cause of a slow metabolism, which is, we're all guilty of over our lifetime, is that yo-yo dieting. So when the body is restricting its resources, it's going to conserve those resources. For instance, if you're on a low salt diet, the body's going to hold on to every bit of salt it has for survival. My son was having heart palpitations in high school, and that was because he was overworking out. This is one of those God lessons that I had. And he was told to be put on a low salt diet. Well, what's interesting is we put him on a very low salt diet and we got him tested a month later, and his blood salt or sodium levels never changed. Why? Because the body said, oh my goodness, he's not eating salt. I need to conserve as much salt as I can. Now, of course, he's eating as much of the accelerated ancient salt as he wants, and his levels haven't changed because the body says, oh, well, I'm getting all the salt and the minerals I need. I'm going to let some go through my urine. So when it comes to fat and body weight, the body has a set point. And this set point comes from the body's perception of what it needs for stored energy. So if your biological set point is 120 pounds, for instance, and you eat more calories than what is normal, the body will increase your metabolism to burn those extra calories. But if you take out some of the calories and lower your intake, like you're on a diet, It's going to lower your metabolism to keep you at that set point. Now, this is really interesting as we're looking at the Ozempics and the semaglutides that people are experiencing, and they're just not hungry and they're not eating. So what's going to happen when they get off the drug? You've got to be very specific with how you reincorporate your calories in your caloric intake, because every calorie is not just a calorie. They're all different. So when you repeat the yo-yo dieting, it makes your body not trust you at all. It says, no, I don't trust you. I'm going to hold on to every single morsel of food that you even look at. Do you know what I mean? When you just look at the chocolate cake and you feel like you're gaining weight? Well, it teaches the body that there isn't enough food and will inherently slow down the metabolism. And it's literally putting your body in survival mode. We've talked about this where when your body's in survival mode, we don't know if there's going to be a famine, if we're being chased by a tiger. You got to think about what our ancestors were going through, right? They weren't dieting. But when we're in survival mode, our ATP, remember this word, goes down. ATP is the true cellular energy, not the energy from the adrenals or from the coffee or the monster drink. The cellular energy, ATP, actually goes down because we want to conserve energy. We don't know when we're getting food again. And then it increases fat gain. It actually teaches your body to have a propensity to store fat and the fat around the middle, because we want to protect our expensive organs, our kidneys, our liver, our adrenals, our ovaries. All of that is right in here. That's why you get this big belly, abdominal fat, and visceral fat, and then fatty liver, right? So it also teaches the body to become very insulin resistant. Now, insulin is a fat storing hormone. So when insulin is released and released and released, but the cells aren't listening, it's like the mom screaming at the children and the kids are just tuning them out. And then dad walks in and says, "Hi, kids," and they listen, right? So that's resistance, insulin resistance. So that will actually cause weight gain, even with the same amount of calories. Okay. So that is what is going on with yo-yo dieting. Your body doesn't trust you. And then you add in the caloric restriction. So when you decide to restrict the calories, that's going to help you lose weight temporarily. This is like the show The Biggest Loser. They all lost a ton of weight, but you look at them all now, they've gained it all back and then some, because the body is smart and it will enter that state of starvation mode or survival mode. So your body's seeking glucose for energy and not anything else, the quick energy. When I think about glucose, think about the pantry in your kitchen. It's quick and easy. You open the cupboard and you rip open the bag of potato chips and you eat it. That's quick energy. Well, the fat is the freezer in the basement that you've got to go down and you've got to open it and you got to defrost it, but it's good, long-standing energy. But if your body has learned to only look for glucose, it's going to seek out that glucose for energy, and that's limited because your body can only store a certain amount of glucose in the body, about 2,000 calories or so, right? So you're constantly needing to replenish that glucose if your body is dependent on glucose to burn. Now, if you have plenty of fat on your body to burn and you start tapping into those fat stores, the body goes, "Oh, I've got thousands of calories to burn on my body. I don't need to slow down the metabolism." But right now, when you restrict calories, the body is looking for that glucose. So it's going to have to slow down the metabolism to maximize the use of the limited calories coming in. It doesn't know that there's thousands of calories on your body to burn in the fat stores. It is only focused on the glucose. So the body registers that you're limiting the incoming glucose, and it conserves what is going out and lowering that metabolic rate to stay at that set point. So after you temporarily lose some weight, probably a lot of it's water and some of it's muscle, the metabolism slows down, and then you have to actually lower your caloric intake to just stay at that weight, which sounds miserable, right? Okay, high carb diet. This is no good for your metabolism. To compound the issue of yo-yo dieting and caloric restriction, the carbs actually lower your metabolic rate. Your blood sugar increases and then crashes. You're on a roller coaster. And then you do this throughout the day, the blood sugar spikes insulin continuously, triggering fat storage. Not only that, you're constantly thinking about food because you eat and you know, oh God, I'm going to feel bad in about 30 minutes. What am I going to eat next? Right? And it's also when you're glucose dependent, your ATP is minimized. You are lowering your ATP production in the mitochondria. So you don't have enough energy. You don't have enough brain power. That's where the brain fog comes in. This is not even to mention that the inflammation throughout the body, where you actually get brain fog from inflammation, the gut inflames, which causes leaky gut. All of these carbs are causing leaky gut, causing inflammation. You're not even absorbing the nutrients that you need. And then when you don't absorb the nutrients you need, your body's screaming at you saying, I need nutrients, feed me more. And then insulin's job is to store fat. The blood sugar is going to become that roller coaster. And so it's constantly triggering your appetite and fat storage all day long. You're teaching your body to become carbohydrate dependent, and your body doesn't even know, like I said, that you've got thousands of calories of fat to burn. And then what's worse is when you start to try to diet and you go from being carb dependent and you have no more carbs coming in, guess what fuel source your body taps into? It's not the fat. It starts turning the protein or the muscle tissue in your body into glucose. So now, not only are you not losing fat, but you're losing muscle and you're going to become skinny fat. And then you're going to be starving and go after your next carb meal. So the high carb diet is going to raise your set point because the body wants to store more and more for survival mode. And you've taught your body not to trust you and you don't know when food is coming, right? Okay, sedentary lifestyle. Now, this is a no-brainer. With lockdowns and all of the staying at home and now us becoming a little more lazy and not wanting to leave the house, it's easy to adopt that sedentary lifestyle. There is more social media addiction, gambling, video games, pornography. Everything is on our screen times, you guys. And that is keeping us from going outside. Remember when we were younger, it's like, hey kids, go outside and play until it's dinner time. That doesn't happen anymore. It's almost like kids have to have scheduled sports just to get outside and off their phones. Just by moving, you're inhibiting fat oxidation, mobilizing the fat to burn. So just by walking 10 minutes after a meal, you're actually mobilizing that fat and increasing the fat oxidation. You're increasing ATP. You're lowering insulin resistance. You're lowering your appetite. You're actually getting an ability to take a breath before making a next food decision, right? Now, this also goes into the fact that stress, and we talked about this last week, is that stress and cortisol increase fat gain. And it's because you've got that perceived stress where you don't, stressors haven't changed, but your mind is making it worse than it is. And that is shifting your body into survival mode, like we were talking about. But this is different than the survival mode of, I don't know when I'm going to eat next. This is, I'm fearful that I'm not going to get paid or my job or whatever it is. It is still telling the brain that I'm in survival mode and I don't know when I'm going to get my next meal. It might be a famine, or am I being chased by a tiger? This is going to change your fat metabolism and cause weight gain and slow down the metabolism because it's going to lower ATP, increase insulin resistance, even without eating the carbs. Even if you're eating that low carb diet that I'm talking about, it's going to increase your insulin resistance. And that cortisol is like the dirty cupcake. You gain weight without even enjoying that piece of chocolate. That stress response causes the cortisol to be released from the adrenals. The adrenals get tapped out, and a lot of people are running around with what, it's not a real thing, but what as adrenal burnout. And that's where the cortisol production is not sufficient for what your real daily stressors are. And that stress is going to increase your appetite and cravings. It's going to increase fat storage, slow down the metabolism. And then what do we look for? We look for the processed foods. But before I go on, walking and exercise helps with that stress level. So that is going to combat the stress that could be slowing down your metabolism. Now, processed foods. So these are not just the calories. We know they're bad for us, right? When we put them in our mouth, we know that calories are going in, but maybe we're eating the little 100 snack pack and it's okay because it's a controlled amount. No. So that 100 calories is not the same as eating a bison steak. I would rather you have 600 calories of bison ribeye than 100 calories of Snackwell's fat-free processed food. Why? Because a calorie is not just a calorie. These processed foods, high calorie density, there's no fiber in them. They have added sugars, and our body doesn't know what to do with these. It spikes our sugar, insulin goes up really fast, fat storage increases, and then we want more, and they're addictive. They put ingredients in there that make them more addictive, so we want more. And the fructose in them, the corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, steals ATP out of the body. So not only is it not giving us any, it's stealing it. You're eating food for more energy, and you're losing energy with every bite. That doesn't make sense, but that's what processed foods do. And anything that comes in a package is processed foods. So you're eating more, hoping for more. And there's no nutrition in there. Your brain has a gauge. It is connected to the gut. It's the gut-brain axis. Your gut tells your brain what food is coming in. If the food has no nutrition, it's going to keep telling the brain, I don't have nutrition yet. Not enough yet. Keep eating. Tell me to eat more. Tell me to eat more. So when I'm eating that 100 calorie snack pack, I'm getting that signal of I need to eat more. So I'm probably going to open 2 or 3 more packs versus a bison ribeye where I'm halfway through it and the brain goes, oh my gosh, that's the most nutritionally dense food I've ever eaten. And I'm okay. I don't need to eat anymore. And then there's a difference in the way your body processes it. The processed foods, it doesn't use any energy to have it digest because it's already so refined and broken down. When you're breaking down wild animal protein, you use about 25% of the calories just to digest it and break it apart. So, and it lowers insulin or the insulin to glucagon ratio, which actually bumps up your fat burning. So the processed foods really aren't giving you anything. The other thing that no one realizes is there's some additives and preservatives in there that the body doesn't recognize as food. So what does the body do with toxins or things it doesn't know what to do with? It says, oh my God, I got to get this out of my blood. I'm going to store it in fat cells. These fat cells on our body are for survival. Their job is to encapsulate those toxins, those preservatives, and put them in our fat tissues. So then guess what? We gain weight and our metabolism slows down. So this is all to add into what we've already been doing with the yo-yo dieting and the calorie restriction. So fructose especially is really bad for the metabolism, and it's being found in your dairy and your meats, not just in there's the cookies and the crackers and those sort of things. So they increase liver fat, increases triglycerides. All of that is going to increase insulin resistance and cause your body to just want to store more fat. Okay, so the other thing to think about is over exercising. I'm 48. before the pandemic, I would go to these exercise classes and I'd see these women with the tub around their tummy, right? They've got the cortisol belly, but they're going to two different classes, an Orange Theory and then a strength class afterwards, working out for 2.5 hours. And that is a stressor on the body. I love exercising. I used to be very guilty for over exercising, but that was when I was in my 20s and 30s, and my hormonal balance was a little better than in my 40s, and right, and the perimenopause age. But too much hard or chronic exercise can actually increase cortisol levels, which is a stress response, and that cortisol increases, blood glucose increases, stimulating fat storing, and it's going to slow down your metabolism because your body doesn't know if you're just running on a treadmill or if you're running from a tiger. So it wants to store that fat for future. So you want to incorporate HIIT training 1 to 3 times a week, strength training, that building muscle. Number one is going to lower your blood sugar and increase your insulin sensitivity, because the more muscle, that muscle loves carbs and soaks it all up, right? So that muscle is amazing. That muscle also encourages testosterone and human growth hormone. And so when you are chronic cardio, you are going to lower those muscle building, fat burning hormones and increase the fat storing hormones. I know, I don't do training or coaching for weightlifting or exercise online, but the people that I follow, all of them will say, yeah, I tell my people to slow down their cardio and just get in the gym and lift some heavy weights, and they see the results. So when you see, when you're dependent on that glucose-based diet, that high carb diet, your testosterone and human growth hormone decrease. So away from the exercise, if you're eating that way, if you're sedentary, all of these things are going to lower your testosterone and human growth hormone. And you women out there, we need testosterone. We have more testosterone than estrogen, but we just don't have as much as men. That's why we think of estrogen as the female hormone. Well, we actually need that testosterone. And these hormones are fat burning hormones. So as they lower, fat burning decreases. And so when we get older, there's so many things affecting our hormonal balance. Estrogen dominance, you've got a dirty liver, you've got the radiation. We're going to get into that in a minute. You've got the toxins in our food, the toxins in the air. All of these things mimic estrogen in the body, lower our testosterone, and then increase the fat gain. Okay, so thyroid issues. Oh my goodness. For after the pandemic, I feel like 9 out of 10 people have suboptimal thyroids, and they go to the doctor, they get their TSH measured, and that's it. And the doctor says you're normal. Well, that's not the full story. So most people have suppressed thyroid just from the accumulation of GMOs, fluoride in our water. Remember, fluoride, bromide, and chlorine look just like iodine in the body. So if we don't have enough iodine, those toxins are going to fill all of our receptor sites, especially in the thyroid. And you've got oxalates. Oxalates love the thyroid and cause Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism, radiation exposure. So just by being on your phone, just by being on this phone, it's going to slow down your thyroid and slow down your ATP and deplete your ATP throughout the body. The thyroid needs that iodine for optimal function. The toxins that we just talked about actually fill in those receptor sites in the thyroid and all throughout the body. Every cell in the body has a thyroid receptor site on it for thyroid hormone. So the thyroid hormones, T4 and T3, they won't be formulated without the proper amounts of iodine. They won't be activated with a clogged liver filled with all of the toxins from radiation, the heavy metals, the GMOs, the processed foods, and then the stress, all of these things. they're clogging the liver, right? And the liver is our detox organ. We gotta love our liver. The liver is where the T4 turns into T3 and then can be used to increase the metabolism by improving and increasing ATP production in the mitochondria. ATP, that is true cellular energy. I believe life is all about ATP and mitochondrial health. Mitochondrial failure is death, right? So we want our mitochondria to be healthy. That is the basis for our metabolism. To compound the issue, the current food supply is depleted of iodine, and most people are deficient. 96% of the United States is known to be deficient of iodine. The spike protein. Okay, so the spike protein dysregulates the function of the ACE2 enzyme receptor in the liver, which leads to a buildup of angiotensin 2 in the liver. So as a result, water retention, insulin dysregulation. So you eat a food that you ate 3 years ago and you have a higher insulin response. What does insulin do? Remember, insulin is a fat storing hormone, causes unexplained weight gain, and then it also the spike protein can cause an increase in antidiuretic hormone, more water retention, more backup in the lymphatic drainage, oxidative stress, inflammation, hormonal imbalance. Okay, hormones. Weight loss is linked to hormones, right? It's not about the calories. So if you're having hormonal imbalances from the spike protein, in addition to the estrogen dominance from a dirty liver, from the dirty water, fluoride in our water, a lack of iodine, the radiation, the GMOs, on. It keeps going on, right? It is overwhelming, I understand. But you can do it. You can navigate this world and still come out in balance hormonally. So the spike protein does cause a lower in ATP and that a lower metabolism. I can feel it when I am around someone who maybe have shed on the spike protein from COVID on me. I feel my whole system kind of shut down because you have to think about it. It is having to deal with something it hasn't dealt with. So if it's dealing with a threat over here, it's going to shut down its metabolism and forget about some other normal functions over here. And people are seeing an increase in cholesterol levels, triglycerides, insulin resistance, metabolic diseases, all just because of that. So how do we fix the slow metabolism? This is where I've come up with the Ascent Diet Cleanse. We do this once a month, and we start on the first Monday of every month. The next one is February 5th. And this cleanse, this diet cleanse, and I hate the word diet because it makes you feel like you're going to be restricted. You get to eat as much as you want. But what it does is we will cleanse the colon, reduce the foreign pathogens in the body, strengthen the immune system, prepare the body for the final step where you go through the liver flush, right? And the liver cleanse, you actually flush out gallstones into the toilet, and you're going to feel good mentally and physically the whole time. You see a reduction in bloat, increase in fat burn and metabolism, improve your thyroid health, improve mental clarity, and improve digestion. But I want to go through some of the supplements. Number one is the acceleradine, iodine. Now, as I mentioned, all cells in the body, 100 trillion or quadrillion, however many there are, no one really knows, has receptor sites for iodine. And the function of the thyroid gland is to take iodine, convert it into the thyroid hormones T4 and T3. And T4 and T3 stand for tyrosine and 3 or 4 molecules of iodine. Where do you get tyrosine? Wild animal protein, not vegetable sources. The thyroid cells combine iodine and the tyrosine to make those thyroid hormones. Then they are transported through the body, and that's what controls your metabolism. So if your thyroid isn't working, you could be on a diet, eat as clean as you can, stay away from your cell phone, do all the things we talked about, you're not going to lose weight. Your metabolism is not going to go up. You've got to have a optimally functioning thyroid. The thyroid also is the master endocrine gland. It's going to control your hormones. It's going to control your brain. It's going to affect your mood. If you're depressed and you're on antidepressants, good chance that you just need to fix your thyroid. And the accelerated iodine is a huge part of that, because iodine deficiency is the #1 predictor for depression. Sufficient iodine in all the tissues help produce 36 ATP through the Krebs cycle instead of just 2 without it. Okay, so that's 18 times. That is huge. And not only is that going to help your metabolism in your brain, but it's actually going to help your immune system, the way you feel, how you're performing in life, in the workplace or in the gym. The lower ATP will literally cause more disease in the body. And so that's where you have to really realize that the thyroid is not just about metabolism and the way you look. It's about how you feel and the disease in your body and how you're aging. So accelerated iodine is the #1 supplement in the Ascent Diet Cleanse. The accelerated keto, this is the game changer, because remember how when you're lowering the calories and you're hangry and you're thinking about your next meal and your body only knows how to burn glucose and it hasn't learned how to tap into your fat stores, this shifts your body into burning its own fat for energy. It literally says, hey, you've got a ton of fat on your body. Go after that. You don't need to eat. So you then don't have dependency on eating, and you don't have that roller coaster. So then what happens, you're able to intermittent fast. Now people will say, well, isn't it intermittent fasting the same as caloric restriction? No, because when you're intermittent fasting and you're into the state of ketosis, your body says, okay, I'm burning all of these amazing calories and fat stores on my body. I can actually rev up my metabolism because I don't see an end in sight in how much fat I have on my body, right? Whereas you're eating the SnackWell's little 100 calorie pack, you're on calorie number 70, your body says, oh, I only have 30 more calories. I need to slow down the metabolism. So the accelerated keto allows you to intermittent fast and boost your metabolism, actually increase ATP by at least 5 to 10 times. And then your body is not going to go back to that mentality of yo-yo dieting or caloric restriction. Additionally, the ingredients in the accelerated keto break down saturated fats into unsaturated fats. This means that tub around here and the visceral fat and the liver fat are being targeted to burn. And so a lot of people see a difference in that area especially. And what else it's doing, as you're burning your fat for energy, guess what's not being burned? Your muscle tissue. It's actually preventing muscle breakdown. So unlike when you're on Ozempic or semaglutide under the other names, your body is maintaining muscle mass, and it's defatting and cleansing the liver gently. So this is starting to cleanse the liver and prepping it, but you're feeling great day one because you've got all the energy in the world. We've got thousands of calories of fat to burn. So that's where your body is. And so your liver, and why it's important that it's starting to cleanse the liver. The liver is responsible for converting that stored fat into ketones. The more your liver is defatted, and by the way, the #1 growing disease in the United States is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And that's due to all of the fructose and the depletion. We'll get into this in a minute of copper in the diet, but non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It's a disease no longer just for alcoholics. Most of you probably have it if you have not addressed it. So the more your liver is defatted and cleansed, the easier it is for the liver to function, including converting that T4 into T3. I mentioned that I just did a liver flush, And when I did it, I felt my metabolism rev up right away because the liver's like, okay, now I can work. I got hundreds of stones out and in the toilet. So that's the accelerated keto. The next is the accelerated thyroid. Like I mentioned, most of you are suffering from suboptimal thyroid function. This restores the proper thyroid function, combining 3 formulas into one. It includes the ancient Ayurvedic formula called Kanchanara, which I've been using for years and years and years to detox and support the thyroid. Then we add in grass-fed freeze-dried glandular to provide the needed peptides and amino acids for the thyroid. And then, of course, just like all of the accelerated products, we enhance it with scalar frequencies to clear emotional and physical shock from the body, detox the toxins and radiation from the thyroid, which can slow the metabolism. So it helps improve metabolism, fat burning, energy, mood, hormonal balance, and water retention. The accelerated copper. So the copper is, like I just mentioned copper. Most people are finding themselves depleted of copper due to the processed foods and the spike protein. Both independently accelerate the depletion of copper out of the body. Copper is essential for controlling insulin resistance and metabolizing fat. Remember, if there's too much insulin resistance, insulin's a fat storing hormone, then you're going to have a slower metabolism. But copper inhibits the polyol pathway. It's responsible for converting glucose into sorbitol and fructose. And remember, fructose steals ATP from the body. This mechanism will help control uric acid, which plays with insulin resistance and metabolism. Copper also helps lower the triglycerides in the liver fat, and it's essential for fat metabolism. It ensures the proper breakdown and utilization of fat, and it also stimulates mechanisms that improve fat burning. The other thing that people don't realize is anemia is not from a lack of iron. You've got plenty of iron in the body. It's just in the wrong places. Copper opens the door to let the iron get to where it needs to go. And that is really important for metabolism as well. So the accelerated scalar copper is the only copper supplement with 99% absorption and treated with water implosion technology enhanced with the scalar frequencies to help with its efficacy. So the liver flush, like I just mentioned, that I just did, it is so imperative now with all of the toxins, all of the estrogen, the xenoestrogens in the environment, the fluoride, the bromide, the chlorine, the processed foods, the spike protein. We gotta love our liver. This liver flush, the accelerated liver flush, it's part of the Ascent Diet Cleanse, helps lower insulin and uric acid levels, increase your protein and fat metabolism. So one thing that people are noticing is they're getting nauseous when they eat too much fat. That's why I don't recommend a high fat ketogenic diet for most people, is that livers are suboptimal right now. And so the breakdown of protein and fat is it's compromised. So the liver flush will improve that metabolism, improve inflammation, improve your thyroid, detox the body of the toxins, the radiation that can all lower the metabolism, help alleviate the fatty liver, and improve that ACE2 receptor function damaged by the spike protein. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Apple cider vinegar. Did you know that just by putting a little bit of that in your water or your drinks can actually suppress body fat accumulation due to the upregulation of fatty acid oxidation? It can also blunt the rise in your insulin and blood sugar. So just add a little apple cider vinegar to your water. It can also help with digestion. Sticking to that low carb diet, that's going to help your insulin and glucose levels remain low, encourage that fat burning, and increase that ATP production. And what's interesting is it's been proven that on a low carb diet, you can actually burn an extra 300 calories more that day than on a high carb diet. And that's not even taking into account the processed foods stealing that ATP from your body, right? I mentioned wild animal protein. There's a reason. The chicken, conventional beef, turkey, they have amyloids in them. Those amyloids cannot be broken down and used in the tissues for muscle building and tissue and hair and all the things we're eating the protein for. And it also can trip up the gut pathogens in the tummy and cause more leaky gut issues, oxalates to take over, more spike protein to be produced in the body. You want to focus on that wild animal protein. It increases that thermic effect, utilizes 25% of the protein calories for digestion through that production of heat, and it can also increase that glucagon, which is the fat burning hormone. Furthermore, the amino acids in the protein stimulate the hormone CCK in the gut that tells the brain, I've had enough to eat. CCK is only triggered by amino acids and omega-3 fatty acids, which of course are found in wild animal protein. The intermittent fasting. So like I mentioned, just by keeping your eating within a 2 to 8 hour period, it's going to reset your insulin sensitivity. And that's the number one condition for fat loss and increased metabolism. When you tap into your fat stores and your body learns to not be dependent on glucose. So constantly eating throughout the day, you're constantly triggering the release of insulin, which is telling the body to store fat. This pattern will never allow your body from breaking from that fat storing mode. Eliminate those processed foods. They cause high uric acid levels, increased insulin resistance, fat storage, steal that metabolism, steal the ATP from your body, and puts you into that survival switch, telling the body to slow down its metabolism even more, encourage fat storage even more, increase caloric consumption all at once. And it increases oxidative stress, decreases your energy. It's just so many ways it is derailing your metabolism. Eliminate those processed foods. So when the ATP falls, the body thinks it's an emergency and lowers the metabolism even further while increasing your hunger for those same processed foods in hopes to increase the energy. So it is a whole cascade and a vicious cycle. The hormone leptin. So that tells the brain to stop eating when it has eaten enough, right? And processed foods cause the brain to seek out more food, overriding this normal signaling. And then you're not only going to have insulin resistance, but you're going to have leptin resistance. You can incorporate some of the patches. The energy enhancer patches have been shown to increase ATP in the mitochondria and help burn an extra 300 calories a day. They also increase heart rate variability, improve the bioelectrical measurement or phase angle in the body or in the cells, reduce inflammation, increase endurance. I wear them every day and I do feel them. The X39 patch, that resets over 4,000 genes in the body and also helps with just your body detoxing and repairing like you were 20 versus now. So those are my tips. You have to think about the big ones. Stay away from the processed foods. Focus on that wild animal protein because you want that muscle, right? The muscle is going to increase your metabolism. And you're only going to get muscle through strength training and eating the proper protein. And that anything processed, and you have to think about it, even the protein bars, even the ketogenic bars, even the powders and the shakes, all of that's processed. You don't know what's going into it. So try to stick to the whole foods. And those whole foods, I'd much rather you have a whole potato than have a ketogenic or a keto protein bar, right? Because it's not processed. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. You can contact me directly through the website, sarabantahealth.com. Happy to put together a protocol for you and join the free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health, and you will be a part of a like-minded group to support you on your journey, in addition to truly taking control of your health. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, across over 100 channels under Accelerated Health TV and Radio Show. And as I mentioned, I cannot do it alone. My goal is to reach everyone on earth with eyes to see and ears to hear my message of healing. So help me with that goal. Share this podcast with a few of your friends who may need my help. See us here every Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific and Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific. You can find everything that we've talked about on all of the supplements at sarabantahealth.com. Use coupon WELCOME10 for 10% off site-wide. Thanks again for joining us here, and have a great week.